Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. For today's 5 things learned from SA versus Wales. Very cool video I like to do that always evokes a lot of chat and discussion, and always very interesting to see how different people take different things out of the same game. And that's basically what we're going to do. So in terms of this, we're going to basically have a relook at sort of that SA versus Wales game and sort of see what we learned, what sort of information we got out of the game, and what my sort of takeaways were. I want to know what your takeaways were, and kind of get a bit of an idea of where we're all standing now with regards to some of the individual performances, the box as a whole, where the issues are, where the issues aren't, and yeah, kind of sort of hopefully find a bit of common ground. But yeah, obviously this is just going to be what my takeaways are. I want to know what your takeaways are down in the comments below. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. On the road to 37,000 subscribers as we try to push for 40,000 subscribers before the Rugby World Cup. So very exciting few weeks ahead. And the Rugby World Cup, yeah, almost just over sort of 2.5 weeks. So very much getting to the business end of things. And if you are new to the channel, we are planning one of the biggest rugby campaigns YouTube's ever seen with regards to Rugby World Cup. So without any further ado, let's go look at number 1 of the 5 things that we did learn. Right, so the BOK game plan has definitely evolved. I think that's quite an important thing, and something that we sort of saw glimpses of over maybe the last sort of 12 months. But a lot of people are saying, when things get tough or whatever, or as things go, we're going to sort of revert back to sort of the tried and tested. Now, that has proved not to be the case. I think it has been partially influenced by the fact that, something like Martin Liebach has now had to be backed at 10, and he obviously plays a lot differently to Andre Pollard. You can try and play to our different strengths and stuff. But I do think that we have seen a Springbok squad and side that have been trying to sort of evolve and change things over the last few years, and they've sort of slowly been sort of adding sort of more strings to the bow. And I do think we are now starting to see the fruits of that. You look at the fact that we ran in 8 tries over the weekend, and yes, it was not the strongest Welsh side. Yes, there was, for example, a couple of fortuitous tries and a penalty try and the one for KRIEL. However, if you look at the general sort of the pattern and the way the BOKS are trying to play, it's definitely starting to evolve, and we're definitely starting to sort of add a few different sort of points of attack, for example, and the way that we sort of navigate the game is definitely changing and evolving. It'll be very interesting to see what this happens going into the World Cup. But there's no doubt that what we were doing 4 years ago is very different to what we're doing right now. Whether that's a good or bad thing, time will tell. So the World Cups are all about peaking at the right time, aren't they? It's about making sure that when you're coming into the World Cup, that you've got your best players, your best team, your tactics all on point. And that has been the concern for a lot of people with regards to, for example, that New Zealand game, certain players, certain big-name players, maybe not playing at the level that we expect them to play. And I do think that was quite reactionary. I do think that we sort of failed to understand that a lot of these players hadn't played rugby in quite a long time. It was going to take a while for them to sort of get to grips and get back into the swing of things. But over the weekend, I thought there were some very important players who had some very good games that we needed to see. I'm thinking Steph Toy, for example, who last year and this year he had glimpses of showing that form in 2019. But I thought his performance on Saturday was absolutely phenomenal. Could easily have walked away with the man of the match performance. And he's such an important player for the BOKS that seeing him play like that was seriously impressive and very reassuring. I think I find Rose starting to dominate as well. Arthur Snyman coming back and playing in the rugby he is. So there are certain very key components of that BOKS squad who are really starting to look like their best versions of themselves, and that's exactly what we need for the entire squad going into the World Cup. This was arguably the biggest question of the day, and that was going to be, is Siya Kolisi ready? Have they given him enough time? Has he successfully overcome that knee injury? And I tell you what, he looked like he'd been playing for months. Just to think that he hadn't played a game since about February, March or whatever, to think that there were potential doubts he would make the World Cup at all. He looked absolutely brilliant on Saturday. He was fitness-wise, he was around the park. When he reeled in Kai Evans, he looked quick, he looked fast, he looked strong, he looked sharp, which I think is the main thing. So whatever sort of the comeback, however they've managed it, they've got an absolutely spot-on base on Saturday because, I know he's been full training for quite a while and they sort of took their time before they sort of wanted to risk him in a match. But he started that and it looked like he'd never been away. And that was such a big relief to see that potential, such a big injury has not hampered him at all, and he just still looks to be in the form and the fitness that he was a year ago for the BOKS. So a lot of people have had to sort of double back a little bit on the JC KRIEL opinions and this kind of the agenda that was sort of growing against him. So obviously, you know, the Kanye I'm missing is an absolute travesty and a huge setback for the BOKS. Unfortunately, he wasn't looking particularly, I wouldn't say he was looking good, but he wasn't looking himself before that injury, which did rule him out of the World Cup squad. And, you know, there was a big hesitancy and a bit of a commotion made about the fact that, you know, without him, you know, we're in trouble, and JC KRIEL, you know, is substandard, not good enough. And he has since gone on to string some very impressive performances together. And this Saturday was another big step in the right direction. And I think what's important is that not only from example, defense point of view, where I don't think he's ever really been questioned, but on the attack, he's looked really bright. You know, he's carried well, he's offloaded well, he's brought other players into the game. You know, he's very much drawn players in before, you know, that little inside switch with Colby, for example. So, you know, he's been very, very good all around. And I think that outside center is such an important position in any team, and especially in the BOKS. And he's now becoming one of our most important players all of a sudden in the team, which, considering the fact that 3 weeks ago, people were panicking about the fact he was in the team at all, is testament to the hard work he's put in. And also maybe sort of testament to the fact that maybe people are starting to panic a little bit too early, because he's really coming good so far. And if he can continue this sort of form and this kind of contributions, then I think the BOKS are in a very, very good place. Right, the elephant in the room, the goal kicking, which was not good enough at the end of the day on Saturday, and is a bit of a worry. Now, Moini Bok is a good goal kicker. He is. He's not been particularly good in the last month, but he has shown several times over his career that he has the capability, he has the talent, he has the ability to kick a goal very well in high pressure situations. You know, so you know that whole sort of idea that he crumbles under pressure because the Stormers didn't win the URC final, for me, is a complete fallacy. He kicked brilliantly in both playoff games, in the quarters and the semis, as well as last year in the playoffs, and was a big part of Stormers actually winning the original URC title, which they weren't given any chance of winning. So he can do it, but he needs to start doing it on the international stage. And whether it's a technique thing, whether it's a confidence thing, whether it's a pressure situation, you know, first of all, it'll only be solved by more game time, you know, having the game time and getting as many opportunities as possible. But he also needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit and understand that this is something that is his job. It is his duty within the squad, and he needs to sort it out. Because yes, there are other options in Faf de Klerk and maybe a Ches and Colby if need be. But at the moment, he is the primary goal kicker, and he needs to take responsibility onto that. Apart from his goal kicking, his all-round ability and game was fantastic on Saturday. But that is such an important part of the game, especially going into high-pressure World Cup games, that he cannot afford to not sort of pitch up on, and he needs to make sure that's sort of sorted sooner rather than later. So those are basically my takeaways. I want to know what yours are down in the comments below. Let me know if you took anything out of it, if you agree with those takeaways, if you disagree. Let me know down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.